All right, we will now call to order the Cochise County Board of Supervisors regular meeting. Today is Tuesday, July 28th. We're meeting in the Supervisors Hearing Room on Melody Lane in Bisbee. The order or deletion of any item on this agenda is subject to modification of the meeting. Any item listed is open for discussion of possible action. Please note that some attachments may be updated after the agenda is published, meaning presentation materials displayed at the board may differ slightly from the attached versions online. Members of the Board of Supervisors will attend either in person or via remote conferencing. Members of the public may attend via Microsoft Teams or the mobile app. The board may permit public comment during discussion of any item on this agenda to speak on an agenda item or during the call to the public. Complete return the speaker request form to the clerk of the board by 9 a.m. on the day of the meeting. We'll begin with the invocation. It is my turn to do that. Got here. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us to engage in meaningful discussion, allow us to grow closer as a group, and nurture the bonds of community. Fill us with your grace, Lord, as we make decisions that might affect the residents and taxpayers of Cochise County, and continue to remind us that all we do here today, all that we accomplish is for the pursuit of truth, for the greater glory of you, and for the service of our community and humanity. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Amen.
All right, please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, next up is roll call. District 1.
Crosby's here.
District 2.
Gomez is here.
And District 3. Antonori is here. All supervisors are present and in person. We'll begin with comments and current events from our supervisors. District 1, Mr. Crosby.
I believe that I will save my comments for agenda item number 12.
Okay.
I have some.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Gomez.
So first of all, the Rural Assembly Everywhere is a free community event. It's the best ideas grow when we share. It's at the Elfrida Community Center, 10550 US 191 in Elfrida. And that's going to be from 9 to 12. And that's going to be a great turnout. So please, everyone, show up. Then we also have the free dump application sign-up events. For Douglas, it's August the 8th at 90 West 9th Street from 8 to 12. Benson has theirs August 22nd, 8 to 12. And that's at the 980 North Madison Street. Bisbee is at 100 South Toverell Road, and that's September the 5th, 8 to 12. And the last one is going to be for Huachuca City, and that's 2595 North Sagebrush Road, and that's September 19th. And I understand that these are really, really popular. So thanks to the guys at the way stations for doing this, because it's very popular. Also, on August the 1st is a care fair, the Douglas Care Fair, down at the Airport Park. If you just go straight down 10th Street, you'll come to it. It's by the soccer field, and it's 9 to 11 a.m. And I just wanted to say that we're real close, I think, to naming BDI as a distribution sterile fly facility, as they now are opening up Douglas Port, the only one open right now for cattle. So it's kind of, the universe is coming together on this. And I want to thank Sharon. We've been on doing, I don't know how many emails, about 100 emails this weekend, back and forth. And we were in about a 3 to 4 hour meeting yesterday. And Andrew Biggs is coming to the mayor's luncheon, and Secretary Rollins is coming. So hopefully she will, and that was something that just happened, I think, recently since yesterday. So hopefully she will be coming out to look at the BDI. Maybe we can steer her that way. And it's better to have done this yesterday than wait anymore. But I think we're real close to being able to announce that they're going to go ahead with it. So it's the best situation for this. It's on the runway. It's away from neighbors. And it's so important because, again, it's not just about cattle. It's about wildlife. It's about your pets. And even humans can get affected by the new screwworm. So it's very, very important to be able to deal with this as soon as possible. It's 300 miles away from the border. And Sonora and Chihuahua have been doing a good job, but we need to get the distribution center here in Douglas so we can help. And it will help New Mexico, California, Arizona, Chihuahua, and Sonora, and California, right? Yeah, so it's a huge radius of where we'll have a big impact right here in Douglas at BDI.
All right.
Okay, and that's all I have.
So I'm gonna just do a couple things. Yesterday, myself and Mr. Casey attended an event in Benson with Steve Owen, who is the U.S. Small Business Administration Office of Advocacy, to try to get some tech startup, aerospace and defense small businesses to start using the Benson Airport for testing and other procedures. And he was asking about some of the barriers and roadblocks that are in the way to making that happen. We had a very productive meeting with him. Of course, we had elected leaders from the city of Benson and other local communities there that were all advocating heavily to encourage small business and eventually, hopefully, some development in and around the Benson Airport and that entire corridor between Benson and Fort Huachuca to try to get some jobs, some decent jobs into the county with that regard. And he's going to take that message back to DC and try to help us to cut some of the red tape so these businesses can get off the ground. I also went to the St. David Pioneer Days and did the parade. We did the parade. But I'll tell you, it's amazing the difference in what you hear when you actually go out and talk to what I would call the salt of the earth folks out there that you know are just trying to work every day, you know, keep the lights on, pay their bills, and feed their families. And I got a lot of positive feedback there, and it was obviously a Republican-friendly environment, very conservative area, and it was very, very positive. And a lot of people are appreciating what we're trying to do, and they've noticed a difference in this board of supervisors from previous boards. And I have gotten a lot of favorable input from those folks, and a couple suggestions I got too. And I had met with several constituents on Fridays dealing with some constituent issues out in my area there, mainly in the Pierce area there. And I've also heard that they're pretty happy about the road maintenance. Kudos to Mr. Fascio and his team for doing a good job on chip sealing several roads there, and then of course keeping them clean after the water runs across and fills them with sand and silt. And he and his team, I mean, are getting on those roads within 24 hours, maybe even less in some cases. And I just wanted to thank you and your team for doing a phenomenal job at that. I've gotten pretty much, with the exception of a few comments from some folks, and that there will never be enough to make them completely happy, but we're getting good results. And we are working on several flood control issues. I know Joaquin and his team, and I know Brad are working on that Pomerine issue out there, and we're trying to get that planned out so we can do some flood control stuff out there. But it's a huge challenge if, we get a lot of rain in a short period of time, and it does cause significant damage and flooding. And we're trying to do what we can to do that, but it does unfortunately take a little bit of time to bring all that together. And with that, I will cease my comments and we will move on, unless you want to chime in, and we will move on to the call to the public. All right, we're going to do call to the public. First up, request to speak is Miss Donna Quisenberry. Miss Quisenberry? All right, you have 3 minutes.
Excuse me. I have addressed the board a few times now about the Cascabel Road during the last board meeting on July 14th. Comments were made about road maintenance and the priority for grading roads after flooding. I have lived in Cascabel for almost 20 years. I am aware of everything that was talked about. Apparently, the Cascabel Road has been upgraded on the priority list. I thank you for that. There are now 2 grader operators, and we have lots of new signs. I even saw a water truck out with the graders a few times before the rain started. They are doing an excellent job. After the excessive rain on July 21st, they were out early and repairing damage on the low water crossings on the north side of the Pomerine Road. It was also stated the road crews were receiving overtime. Great. They should be getting overtime with hazard pay, in my opinion. Personally, I would rather see my tax dollars, not only property tax, but all taxes that I pay in this county, be spent on overtime for all county workers, first responders, and relieving all 100% combat veterans of property tax. Then being spent on seminars about data centers, especially in Florida during spring break, and personal lawyers for this board. I believe everyone in the county attorney's office are trustworthy, capable individuals that earn their salaries. I think a representative from the county attorney's office and the county administrator should be present in all county board meetings, not only to perform the duties of their job requirements, but also to represent the people of this county.
You got another minute. You don't have to hurry. She thought her time.
So I think that comment was directed at me, and no tax dollars were used at all. I paid for that out of my own pocket. So that's that. No tax dollars were used on that trip to Florida. So, next up, oh, I lost track of where was it? Where did I
Any
put-
more speakers?
Yeah, we got a couple more. I buried the form. I'm sorry. All right, next up again, let's just say, we'll just say political activist Allison Morris. You're up. You have 3 minutes. I'll cut the Democrat one off since you clarified that.
Chair Antonori, I would respectfully request that you don't put any labels to my name. I'm just an individual registered voter, a citizen of this county, and a defender of democracy. So if you would like to choose one of those terms, that's fine.
Ms. Morris,
But I don't appreciate being,
you are
labeled.
given.
Thank you.
You are
perhaps
given.
you have noticed that Americans are not particularly happy with the state of this country. And Cochise County citizens are no different. They are disappointed by the many promises broken by candidates they voted for. They are tired of soaring food and gas prices. They are worried about the spread of debilitating infectious diseases, and they are furiously opposed to the unauthorized and seemingly endless war in Iran, which has taken the lives of 18 American servicemen, injured well over 600, and has directly cost this country over $100 billion.
Ms. Morris,
The
suspend,
indirect
please.
costs
You need to
domestic-
stay germane to the county. We
I'm
do
getting
not,
there. I'm
we do
getting
not
there.
talk international issues here. I let you. I
Oh, we
gave you
don't
some-
talk international
Madam,
issues
Madam, please suspend while I speak and quit talking over the chair, or I will have you removed. What we're doing today is we're addressing issues in the county. The statute, open meeting law clearly states that you're supposed to speak relative to germane issues, relative to this meeting. The war in Iran is not relevant. So
Okay.
please keep your comments related to Cochise County.
Okay.
You may continue.
Okay, thank you. Cochise County taxpayers do not want a repeat of the 2022 midterms, when 4 different outside attorneys were hired over the course of just a few months to litigate the misdeeds of elected officials. They do not want the extreme turnover rate that resulted from election interference. 6 different election directors over the course of a year and a half is wildly unpopular. They have paid dearly enough, over $1 million of taxpayer money when staff time and turnover rate is factored in. Like most Americans, Cochise County residents thought they were voting for candidates who would protect their rights, not trample on them. Voters expect elected officials to use limited resources wisely for the good of the people. They hold these officials to high standards and want them to respect the rule of law, not challenge and litigate it at their whim, unnecessarily costing taxpayers hundreds of thousands of dollars. When the electorate realizes it has chosen unwisely, the remedy is to fire and replace these disappointing politicians. The more harm that is done to citizens, the stronger their determination is to stand up and fight for their rights. I'm grateful to the bipartisan group of Benson residents who have bravely and admirably shown us the path forward for Cochise County. Thank you.
Next up, we have Miss Diana Lamar. Miss Lamar, you're here. Yep, you have 3 minutes, ma'am.
Good morning. I'm a registered voter in Cochise County. My name is Diana Lamar. I'd like to speak to proposed changes to the Board of Supervisors Rules of Order and what seems to be an effort to push our elected county attorney and our deputy county attorney out of meetings, in particular executive sessions. The time most supervisors would welcome their presence and benefit from the attorney's guidance and expertise. The county attorney does not participate in policy decisions, motions, or voting, but serves solely in an advisory capacity. County guidelines across the country often and typically mandate that the county attorney or a deputy county attorney attend all closed meetings. It's normal, it's common, it's smart. If there is a legitimate reason for having lack of faith in our county attorney, spell it out. Our county attorney is elected. If lack of faith cannot be better articulated and does not reach a serious level of concern or impropriety, then this change doesn't seem appropriate, necessary, or prudent. I find the argument that this is for the benefit of the community and the future of this organization to be disingenuous. Attorneys and judges in most instances are committed to the just and fair interpretation of the law, regardless of their party affiliation or yours. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the county attorney and deputy county attorney are Republican and unaffiliated. What more could you ask for, since the only reason given is vague and partisan? This gives the appearance of cherry picking an attorney for political and perhaps personal reasons. The desire to handpick someone you believe will tell you what you want to hear. Outside attorneys should be hired infrequently and to fill a very specific need, and you already have the ability to do that. Our elected county attorney also has a job to do, and they are the legal expert in the room to assist you and guide you, and that's what we expect them to do. Since you are taking the time to review the rules of order, please consider updating the language to reflect gender-neutral terms as chairperson, chair, spouse, they, etc. And is it really necessary to have a dress code? G, I would like to ask a question. G, notwithstanding the chairman's decision on a legal objection to the county attorney, may direct the clerk of the board to notate in the minutes, either immediately or within 24 hours of the meeting's adjournment, that objection in order to preserve the official record of the meeting. The county attorney may object orally or in writing to the clerk. My question is, has the county attorney or deputy attorney objected orally or in writing to individual supervisors, the Board of Supervisors as a whole, or to the clerk of the board? And if so, were these objections inserted into the minutes? Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And next, we will go up to the consent agenda. So can I get a motion to move? So what we're going to do here, we have someone that's requested to speak on an item on the consent agenda. We're going to move the consent agenda, and then I'm going to allow that person to come up and speak regarding that specific item. But can I get a motion to move consent agenda items 1, 2, 3, and 4, please?
Mr. Chair, I move we approve consent agenda items 1 through 4.
Second.
All right, we have someone that has requested to speak regarding consent agenda item number 2, which is to approve the amendment to the Department of Public Safety contract, which basically extends the effective date through June 30th, 2027. And that person that was requested to speak is Ms. Sharp Poirier. I'm sorry. Poirier. Is she here? Or is she online?
Yes, I am.
Oh, you're online. There you are, ma'am. You have 3 minutes.
Okay. I wanted to be quick. Well, no. The consent agenda, item number 2, calls for the approval of $605,705 in grant money for local border enforcement. It is to be used for 8 drones at a cost of $200,000 and 3 Chevy Tahoes at a cost of $240,000. So I'm just wondering what the other $160,000 is for. Pays for the maintenance of the drones and the Tahoes, as well as the fuel used on deputy vehicles when they're on this program. Because there were so many problems over years ago, questionable time starts to Stone Garden, Operation Stone Garden. What safeguards are now in place to ensure there are no repeats? I think we're entitled to a running commentary on the expenses charged to the DPS and what activities the sheriff's office has performed in regard to this agreement. And that concludes my statement, and I also have signed up for a call to the public. I don't know if I can now.
You are listed on other items, ma'am, but not on call to the public. But you are listed on action items to speak on action items.
Oh, okay. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. All right. Since this is an agendized item, the sheriff's office one, I'm Commander Jordy's not here, but do you want, anybody want to speak to that maybe? I mean, I couldn't hardly understand what she was saying, but I mean, I picked up some of it.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, Commander Bradshaw with Sheriff's Office. The extra money that I believe, she was hard to understand, but the extra money that she didn't account for in there was the actual grant itself following year. So that part was just excess. The vehicles are going to be used for border support for our Sabre unit and for our search and rescue so that we can continue recoveries of people in the desert, which most often are people that are undocumented that cross the border. Other than that, I didn't understand a whole lot of other points.
All right. Thanks, Commander. All right. Any discussion? Hearing none. The motion before the board is to approve consent agenda items 1 through 4. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Consent agenda item is approved. Can I get a motion to move agenda item number 5, please?
Yes, Chairman, I move that we approve item number 5, adopt resolution 26-26, granting a water services franchise renewal to Pueblo del Sol Water Company.
Second.
All right. We are going to enter a public hearing, so I will now open the public hearing regarding this matter. And then is Mr. Strepo present? Not present.
No, he's not present.
It says here we have a presentation. Is there a presentation that's going to be?
I think this is a standard water services franchise renewal for Pueblo del Sol Water Company. There's nothing of note in the changes.
All right. So under the rules for public hearing, is there anyone present from the public that would like to speak regarding this agenda item number 5 and the extending of the franchise renewal? Anyone? Going once? Going twice? Okay, the public comment is closed. Any discussion on the board? All right, hearing none.
Sure. Yeah, I'd like to make sure that I understand the any right-of-way fees which are contained in this franchise agreement. Are there any right-of-way fees?
I'll take a quick look here.
Okay. Take a look at
We shall
paragraph
pause
10.
momentarily while you.
Paragraph 10, perhaps. And I don't know if that
This is contains the standard language that I think the board had agreed on before regarding franchise fees, that they won't be passed on unless approved by voters.
okay, and that's what it really means. I hope.
I'm not a lawyer, so I'm going to defer to the lawyer for the legal analysis.
Okay, let's take a look at paragraph 11, if we could. Is there any chance we can get that up on the screen? Paragraph 11 of the franchise agreement. And since there's a brief pause, the reason why I bring these up is because I would like to, well, because franchise fees are a tax. It's a pass-through tax that is implemented on the water company, which is passed through to the customers. So that's why when and if such a fee, a franchise fee is approved for counties to collect as it is for cities, I believe that voters should have the right to either approve or disapprove that tax or that franchise fee. That's the point of it. So let's see. Let me take a look at I would want to know if in paragraph 11, what are the body's resolutions and ordinances with regard to the franchise fees? Is that in paragraph 11? Yeah, it says, reserves the right to alter or amend the terms of this franchise in any manner necessary to protect the safety and so on. I think this is slightly different than what I was looking at before, but that's fine. As long as everybody knows, I am aware of the nature of franchise fees, that they are a pass-through tax, and I want to protect the would-be payers of such a tax, that they get to vote on such a thing. Mr. Chair, that
All right.
concludes my remarks.
Thank you, Mr. Crosby. All right. With that, we will close the public hearing. And now we will address the item directly. So the motion before the board is to adopt resolution 2626 granting water services franchise renewal to Pueblo del Sol Water Company. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries 3-0. That is approved. Can I get a motion to move agenda 6, please? Agenda item 6, please.
Is it my turn?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, so
Mr. Chair, I move we approve ordinance 26-11, adopting the Cochise County Anti-Blight Public Nuisance Abatement Ordinance.
all right, and we have Ms. McLaughlin here to give us an overview of that and allow the public to see what we're talking about, because I read some things in the newspaper that had some extrapolations in there, so I want to make sure we
Is
clarify.
that AI extrapolation?
I don't know. So let's allow our Development Services Director to explain this.
Good morning. Item 4, proposed Cochise County Anti-Blight Public Nuisance Abatement Ordinance. The board reviewed this ordinance during the July 7th work session, where we discussed the overall framework, legal authority, implementation, and due process protections. Since that work session, staff has made one substantive revision at the request of the board chair and Public Works. Specifically, we've added language addressing unauthorized obstructions within county roads, drainage ways, and right-of-way, such as unauthorized gates, barricades, berms, boulders, and the like, that could interfere with public travel, emergency access, utility access, or county maintenance activities. The addition allows those situations to be addressed through the same administrative nuisance process rather than through a separate enforcement framework. Otherwise, the ordinance remains substantially the same as what was presented during the work session. The purpose of the ordinance is to establish one comprehensive code compliance framework for nuisance, blight, and hazardous conditions in unincorporated county. Currently, nuisance enforcement is spread across multiple ordinances with different procedures. This ordinance consolidates those provisions into one consistent administrative process while improving efficiency and emphasizing education, communication, and voluntary compliance before formal enforcement occurs. It does not establish a property maintenance code, create new zoning regulations, or expand the county's existing enforcement authority. Instead, it creates a clearer, more consistent process for administering authority that we already have through Arizona law. One of the primary goals throughout the drafting of the ordinance was preserving due process. Before any enforcement action, responsible parties receive a nuisance to abate, describing the alleged violation and corrective action needed. Whenever possible, the ordinance emphasizes voluntary compliance first. If someone disagrees with the notice to abate, they may appeal to the county hearing officer under the hearing officer rules, which will be considered under the next item. Hearing officer decisions may then be appealed to the Board of Supervisors where authorized, and final administrative decisions remain subject to judicial review. These protections remain fully intact under the proposed ordinance. The ordinance also strengthens the county's ability to recover taxpayer-funded cleanup costs. When voluntary compliance fails, the county must perform an abatement, the goal that the responsible party, not the taxpayers, bears the cost whenever authorized by law. The ordinance incorporates recent changes in Arizona law, including Senate Bill 1067, which strengthens the county's ability to recover nuisance abatement costs by preserving certain assessment liens through the tax lien foreclosure process. The intent is straightforward. When the county must spend public resources cleaning up private nuisance conditions, these costs should be recoverable wherever the tax law allows. The ordinance is designed to encourage compliance rather than punishment. However, when violations remain uncorrected, the county may pursue additional enforcement tools authorized by law. These include county abatement of nuisance conditions, addressing illegal dumping, hazardous conditions, unsafe structures, obtaining inspection warrants or court orders when necessary, and recovering the cleanup costs. Again, these are authorities we already possess. The ordinance simply established one consistent process for exercising these tools while preserving due process protection. So, why is this important? Without this ordinance, the county could continue operating under multiple older ordinances and procedures that have evolved through time. Adopting this ordinance creates a consistent administrative framework for nuisance enforcement, improves procedural clarity, supports implementation of the updated hearing officer rules, improves administrative efficiency, and better protects taxpayers through stronger cost recovery. Ultimately, it provides a modern, legally current, and transparent enforcement process while respecting property rights and due process. Staff recommends the board conduct the public hearing, receive any public comment, and adopt this ordinance. That concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions.
I'm glad you highlighted that one section there because that was what I saw a lot of comments on. Some people think that this is an aggressive move by us, and it's not the case. And state law was just recently updated regarding one of our sister counties had issues with abandoned properties and the extreme cost of fixing those up. So they got the statute amended to allow the county to clean those properties up and then place liens on those properties to recover the cost eventually for the taxpayers. So we're adopting some of that statute into the ordinance to ensure that we don't burden the taxpayers and that we have a way to reimburse them if someone grossly abuses their property and creates blight and other nuisances and hazards within the county. So we have that ability to do so. So I didn't know if you wanted to add to that.
No, I think you said
Yeah.
nice.
Okay, any other discussion?
Yeah, so, we have a serious situation, I guess it's out by Palominos Hereford, where there's been a house that has been just, drugged in and everything else that you could possibly have, and a lot of trash, a lot of unhealthy things all throughout the facility. Will this ordinance help you guys be able to help those residents, those neighbors around that house?
I believe so. I mean, one of the main challenges when it comes to code enforcement is identifying a responsible party and interested party, and then being able to properly serve them and initiate like the proper procedures. So something like this, absolutely, I think would help.
Things I know that's been like an ongoing problem for about 3 or 4 years. And then I got a lot of people saying, no, nuisance, what does that mean? You're not stopping any businesses, are you? This ordinance gives nobody any authority to be able to stop a business once they're in there, because nuisance is talking about illegal dumping and that type of thing, trash, barriers in the washes, that type of stuff, right? Am I correct?
It's getting at health, safety, welfare. That's our main priority and what we're really trying to preserve with ordinance.
So one of the other things that happens a lot in the county are people who store tires. And I'm not just talking 2 or 3 tires, but hundreds of tires, and how that creates a really unhealthy environment. And especially during this season, all kinds of different mosquitoes carrying all kinds of different diseases. So this would help that too, right?
Correct. And the tires are also separately regulated by ADQ. It is a concern.
It is a big concern. Okay. Okay, thank you. I think you did a great job. And I think, what this is helping, because I get a lot of complaints about trash. We get a lot of complaints. We can't look over people's yards, their backyards, even though you may see it from your second story, we can't go as a county and you guys go over and look into their backyards to see the mess they have. That's their business. But we get a lot of complaints from people. There's just a lot of trash and abandoned buildings, and that creates a whole other mess of problems. So thank you very much for doing this.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Mr. Crowe.
Ms. McLaughlin, it appears that you are getting in front of this, and I appreciate that very much. You talked about two related terms, responsible party and interested party. Would you tell us what the difference is?
An interested party could be somebody that's just currently inhabiting the property. It could be a squatter. A responsible party is ultimately the property owner and somebody that has a vested financial interest in the property.
Okay, so in the case at hand, which I believe my colleague is talking about, there is no responsible party except for somebody that's deceased. And so we can use the term interested party to push it forward where we could not before. Is that what?
It is, yeah. And the case you're referencing, I mean, there's all sorts of probate issues, estate, and just it's a really tough issue. Ultimately, if the county has to abate the property, then we'd attach a lien and it would stay with the property itself. So that would be one possible. And then also being able to name the current inhabitants as interested parties helps us. So we're kind of helped in both aspects by.
Okay, so it isn't a cure, but it's a step in the right direction. Is that what you said? Okay,
Correct.
thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I appreciate that.
All right. No further discussion. The motion before the board is to approve ordinance 26-11, adopting the Cochise County Anti-Blight Public Nuisance Abatement Ordinance. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0. And we'll go to number 7. Can I get a motion to move number 7, please?
Yes, Chairman, I move that we approve ordinance 26-12, amending the Cochise County Hearing Officer bylaws and rules and procedures.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair.
Second.
I'm sorry, you didn't close the last public hearing.
Got to bang it down.
I didn't. Which one was that? That was the civil,
Yeah, I don't think you did.
the franchise one? I did. I closed the franchise one.
Oh, no, the abatement ordinance.
Unless you're
Oh.
doing them all as public hearing items
Oh,
or something
oh,
like
oh.
that.
I'm glad I didn't close it then because I didn't do call to the public either. So thank you for catching that.
So we're still on item 6. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
we're still on item 6. I'm sorry. So anybody who'd like to speak on item 6? I'm sorry. That was my bad. Item 6, anyone? Once, twice? Okay, now I will close the public hearing. Public hearing is closed. My bad. All right. Any other correction before I go forward?
No, I think you just need to do number 7 now with the
Okay.
public hearing.
Thanks. Let me get a motion to move agenda item number 7.
I did, didn't I? I'll move it now. Chairman, I move we approve ordinance 26-12, amending the Cochise County Hearing Officer bylaws and rules and procedures.
Second.
Okay, I will now open another public hearing and we'll go to Ms. McLaughlin for an explanation.
Thank you. The item before you right now is ordinance 26-12, which updates the Cochise County Hearing Officer bylaw, laws, and rules and procedures. These rules establish the administrative process used by the Cochise County Hearing Officer to hear civil enforcement matters. The current rules were adopted in 1995 and were written primarily for zoning enforcement. Since then, the county, including just minutes ago, adopted additional ordinances, expanded its enforcement responsibility, and Arizona law has evolved. But the hearing officer rules have not been comprehensively addressed in the last 30 years. Today's ordinance modernizes those procedures while preserving due process protections. The primary purpose of the amendments is to establish one consistent administrative hearing process for enforcement matters. As the board just discussed during the previous item, the county's enforcement responsibilities extend beyond zoning to include building, code enforcement, in some cases, public works, as well as the anti-blight public nuisance abatement ordinance. Rather than maintaining separate hearing procedures for each program, these amendments establish one consistent set of administrative rules governing appeals, hearings, notice, service, and related procedures across the enforcement process. The amendments also modernize rules to reflect current administrative practices in Arizona law, provide greater procedure clarity for the hearing officer, county staff, and members of the public. The amendments are procedural rather than substantive. They expand the rules to include notices, to include appeals from notices to abate under the proposed anti-blight ordinance, update definitions and terminology, modernize notice and service requirements, clarify hearing procedures, and standardize administrative procedures such as evidence defaults, record keeping, and appeals. The ordinance does not create new violations or expand our authority. It establishes the process for these administrative matters. Property owners and other responsible parties continue to receive notices and opportunity to be heard by the hearing officer and the ability to present evidence and be represented by counsel if they so choose. The ability to appeal to the hearing officer decisions to the Board of Supervisors and judicial reviews provided by law are also provided. The purpose of the amendments is not to change these protections, it's simply to modernize the procedures. Overall, the amendments provide several practical benefits. They create one consistent process for county enforcement, improve clarity, align the rules and current Arizona law and the recently approved ordinance, improve administrative efficiency, and support implementation of the anti-blight ordinance. These amendments, again, are administrative in nature. They do not amend our comprehensive plan, zoning regulations, or modify any development standards. Staff recommends the board adopt ordinance 2612, amending the hearing officer bylaw rules and procedures. That concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer questions. And again, this is a public hearing.
Any discussion?
No, sir.
All right. I will open for public comment. Anyone from the public wishing to speak regarding the hearing officer bylaws and rules and procedures? Going once, going twice, gone. No one has requested to speak. So now I will close the public hearing. All right. The motion before the board is to adopt ordinance 26-12, amending the Cochise County Hearing Officer bylaws, rules and procedures. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries 3-0. All right. Thank you, Ms. McLaughlin. Appreciate it. All right. Can I get a motion to move agenda item number 8, please?
Mr. Chair, I move we approve intergovernmental agreement IGA CTR 2566 Rural Health Transformation Program between Arizona Department of Health Services and Cochise County for Cochise County Health and Social Services to provide services in chronic disease prevention and management and maternal and fetal health, congenital syphilis testing and treatment in the amount of $402,850 effective June 1st, 2026 through May 31st, 2027.
Second? I'll second it. All right. Any discussion? No, we have our health director here. Ms. Lang, I got educated on this issue. Quite surprised that we have a problem like that in the county, but I'm glad you're dealing with it. I didn't know it was that bad. But anyways, I'll let you comment on it.
Sure. So this is a great opportunity through the Rural Transformation Funds to address chronic illness and infectious disease, specifically diabetes, which is a large issue in Cochise County. So we're going to be working from a prevention standpoint and also a management standpoint for diabetes. And the rest of the funds will go to congenital syphilis. Unfortunately, in the county, we've seen an uptick of pregnant young women that are positive for syphilis and pending birth. So this also will be for prevention and treatment for those two issues.
And it causes significant birth defects.
And it can cause death of the fetus
Yes.
as well.
So, okay. Any other questions for Ms. Lang? Thank you, Director Lang.
I just
I
want to,
understand that this is 100% preventable.
Correct. And thank you for bringing that up.
All right, any other
no, I
questions?
just want to thank you for all that your health department does. You amaze me how broad your brush is, but thanks for all you do.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, the motion before the board is to approve the IGA CTR 082586 in the amount of $402,850. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Can I get a motion to move agenda item number 9, please?
Yes, Chairman, I move that we accept the assessor's recommendation to approve the attached list of 92 property tax exemption. Oh, no, I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong one. No, I am in the right one. Okay, to accept the assessor's recommendation to approve the attached list of 92 property tax exemption applications for 2026 that qualify for the exemption but were filed with the assessor after the statutory filing deadline of March 1st, 2026.
Second.
All right, and we'll go to Mr. Alvarez for a
Yeah,
brief
Chief Deputy
explanation.
Alvarez filling in for Phil
Yeah.
Leindecker, and I have the office manager here, Shannon Romero, in case there's any questions. But we have submitted a list and it's 92 long, and it includes disabled vets, 100% disabled veterans, 100% widows, organizations, and there's your 92.
All right, so to add a little extra detail here, everybody understood there was significant confusion with the disabled combat veterans property tax abatement, and the legislature remedied that in the budget, but the effective date for that was January 1st of 2027. However, there was some confusion that was created because of that, because there's an income requirement threshold that you're supposed to obtain now if you want that property tax to be eliminated. However, when people submitted their applications, when they thought that any combat disabled veteran can submit it, there wasn't a requirement to put the income threshold or proof of income in that. So all these people submitted their applications. And then once the clarification of the statute came out and before it was fixed, the assessor sent letters out notifying those individuals that you have to have a income threshold. So they were asked after the legislature fixed it to reapply to submit with the proof of income. However, that was after the deadline date that's in statute, which was March 1st.
That's correct. You're well versed.
Yeah. So to correct that, the law allows us to extend that deadline. And so that's why the assessor's office is here today asking us to extend the statutory deadline, which the board has the authority to do, to allow those veterans who've submitted those applications. But I also want to make clear that they are responsible for the property tax up to the date that that is approved by the assessor's office. So they're still required for the taxes of the year prior to the approval, and they'll only be exempt from the point of approval on. Is that correct? Yeah, okay. I just want to make sure everybody understands, because we had a lot of confusion with this, and I want to make sure everybody understands going forward. Now, in January, any 100% combat disabled veteran that has a permanent disability can reapply before then, hopefully now, to the assessor's office to give the assessor's office time to process that paperwork so that by January 1st, they can have the property tax for all combat disabled vets, not just those that are below a certain income level, will go into effect
Right.
on
With no income level.
with no income level on January 1st. So if a veteran has not, if we have a combat disabled, 100% combat disabled veteran in the county that did not apply originally or was applied and had it kicked back because of the statute issue, they can reapply or should reapply, or at least check with the assessor's office that their application is still good and that they will have the effective date of 1 January for the property tax.
That sounds correct.
Okay. All right, great.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Mr. Clark.
do I correctly understand that nobody will be penalized?
What do you consider a penalty?
Everybody's going to get whatever break they're supposed to get.
If
they apply.
If they meet our requirements, income included, they'll get either a percentage of, but with regard to the 100% disabled vets, that is, combat vets,
Mhm.
they're going to get 100% of their taxes approved.
Okay, that's fine. That sounds like an affirmative answer to that. And I've known Mr. Leindecker for several years now, and during that time, I have observed that he is competent, conscientious, honest, and never greedy.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
That sounds like him.
Just to clarify too, we didn't mention this, I was saying 100%, but there's also a graduated scale in there for partially disabled combat veterans up to 100%, and the representative percentage of their disability will be the percentage of the reduction in property tax. So if they're 50% disabled, they will get a 50% reduction in the property tax.
That's
Is that-
correct. Toward,
No, that's not correct. No, come on, come on. I want to make sure this is clear because this has been a challenge, obviously.
So
exempt amount, which currently is $48,073. They will get 50% of that. So not 50% of their taxes.
Okay.
They'll just get 50% of the allowable exempt amount set by Department of Revenue annually.
and so the difference is the combat vets that are 100% service disabled, service related, they're not bound by that exemption amount.
Right.
They could have, their assessed value could be, $100,000.
So only they are exempt from the income threshold.
That's right.
So the other veterans still have to meet, if they're less than 100%, they still have to meet the income threshold. And then that percentage will be applied based on their disability level.
Yep.
Okay, now I got it. I'm glad we had this discussion so people can understand. It's not simple and there's been so much confusion over it. I'm glad we're finally getting this hammered out, and maybe we should have an explanation of some sort go out and reiterate it a couple more times before January so that everybody understands the process.
Our office gets fielded with a lot of phone calls.
Yeah.
And she's the office manager. So we've already addressed it. Phil addressed it in the beginning, and we get calls all the time.
Yeah, I just think it would be, I don't want to tell Phil what to do because he's a separate elected official, but
Sure.
the veterans out there may want a little proactive heads up. So if you can send something out maybe a reminder every like 60 days from here until January, just to remind veterans that starting.
So
January
Phil's
1st.
out for the rest of the week, but we will let him know.
Yeah, just something that you can send like and have a press release or a posting or something to reminds veterans that, hey, the legislature approved this. Here's the rules, here's the process, and here's the benefit. If you're interested in apply to the assessor's office and we'll do what we can to help you.
Take it under advisement.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Okay, any other questions for Mr. Alvarez?
No, sir.
Done? All right, thank you, sir. All right, the motion before the board is to accept the assessor's recommendation to approve the attached list of 92 property tax exemption applications and to waive the statutory filing deadline and extend it from March 1st, 2026 until now. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0, so it's been extended. All right. Can I get an agenda item number 10 moved, please?
Mr. Chair, I move we approve intergovernmental agreement IGA 26-0011-629 I'm going to say that's an I. It appears to be an I between Arizona Department of Transportation and Cochise County for the design and construction of extending the existing Newman Trail to connect the city of Sierra Vista bicycle and multi-use path network and the greater Cochise County multi-use trail network in the amount of $2,341,523 with a local match of $133,466 effective upon signing of all parties.
Second.
Second. Okay. Let's go to Mr. Facio for an explanation.
First of all, good morning.
Morning.
Morning, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Jason Facio. I'm the Public Works Director for Cochise County. I'm here today to respectfully seek board approval for the IGA 26-0011-629-I. This is an IGA between the Department of Transportation and Cochise County for the design and construction to extend the existing Newman Trail to the Cochise County multi-use trail network. This trail is to provide a safe, non-motorized connection to residents of the neighboring community and complement the existing transportation infrastructure. Cochise County was awarded the $2,341,523 for design and construction for this extension. It's approximately 1 mile long. The county would be supporting this with a 5.7% match of $133,466, and this funding would be distributed to ADOT, who will administer these funds on behalf of Cochise County. This is part of the long-range transportation plan, and this grant is an ADOT Transportation Alternatives Grant.
All right, any questions for Mr. Fazio?
No, I know that there's a lot of bicyclists, I shouldn't call them bikers, but bicyclists who are very enthusiastic in this county. I know we're going to have that gravel race in Douglas in November, which has drawn a lot of people. So it is something that a lot of Cochise County with weather residents use. So I'm thankful for the grant.
So, do you have any questions?
After you, sir.
So I spoke with ADOT. They were in town up in Wilcox. I went to their listening tour event and I brought this issue up after being educated by Mr. Fazio. And they recommended that we consider re-engaging ADOT leadership regarding this and the specific cost. My heartburn is we're going to spend $2.474 million, almost $2.5 million on a 1 mile bike path. Let that sink in for a second. $2.5 million. Now, I have a lot of confidence in Mr. Fazio, who I won't put him on the spot here, but I've had discussions with him. And I said, if you were to take the county's equipment and basically improve that and chip seal that and create that, would it cost $2.5 million? He wouldn't give me an exact number, but he said, probably not. Let's just put it that way. So I think that this can be done for a significantly less amount of money. And the fact that ADOT wants to spend $2.5 million on a 1 mile bike path, where that is basically a quarter of our entire HERF budget for the entire year, that we could be fixing roads elsewhere in the county. If we can figure out how to do this bike path for a few $100,000, let's just say, and then allow ADOT to use the rest of that money to go fix some road somewhere, I would feel more comfortable as a taxpayer
In supporting it.
looking at that remedy. I'm not saying we don't do the bike path. I'm just saying it ain't worth $2.5 million. And
Is it-
if there's a way to go back to ADOT and say, hey, look, we took a look at this. So you did the study, right? Do you?
Most of this work was done previous to me
Okay.
being the director of engineering. This is something that's been ongoing since about 2015.
Right.
And so a lot of the historical discussions that have happened have been in past boards, in work sessions and things like that.
Yeah, I think we need to just relook at this. It's a significant amount of money for a 1 mile bike path. I mean,
That is true.
so what the bike path you want in Bisbee that goes down along the thing, what was that going to cost?
Wow, that was the whole thing, I believe, was about 7 million. Am I right? Or 1 million? There's different phases of it
Yeah.
that goes around the lavender pit.
It's
But I
much more
agree.
than a mile.
Yeah, and I agree with you. It probably, could it be because of the way the procurement is? I mean, are we looking at having to pay outside of Cochise County to have these
So-
guys come and do it?
So we couldn't find out, at least I couldn't find out exactly where the appropriation
Right.
request came from, who asked for it. It was just a grant that ended up being approved and sent to the county. Do you know who asked for it?
I definitely have someone here that could answer that question. Because it was before my time as a director, I'm pretty sure that Travis Fast or Brad could answer that question.
Yeah, sure. I'm just, because I spoke with our state delegation and they were unaware of it as well. So they didn't know anything about it either.
I think
So,
it's just
Chair, members of the
ongoing.
board.
yeah.
So it was kind of a group effort between SVMPO and Cochise County. So this, as Jason said, this has been an ongoing project since 2015, and it is in our long range transportation plan from Brown Canyon to SR 92.
Yeah, I get that. I'm just looking at the dollar amount for a 1 mile bike path.
And that came from our design concept report that
I mean,
we've
is
done
it
previously.
got like special lights on it? Does it have
That
like
was,
trees? Does it,
That was
does it
what our
have a
consultant came
levitating
up with.
sidewalk that floats you 1 mile down the, I mean, $2.5 million for a 1 mile bike path. I mean, holy cow. I mean, how many miles of road can you chip seal for $2.5 million?
Single lane mile is probably around $25,000.
So
That's a maintenance chip seal. If we're building a road, we have to double chip seal or triple chip seal. So you triple that
so
number
10,
roughly.
10 miles of road at least, right? I don't know, what's the math on that?
This
No,
does.
that's 100 miles of road.
This
100
does,
miles
this
of road.
does include design.
No, I
too.
got you. I
Okay,
got
so
you. I'm
there's
just-
other things that are involved in this.
So-
And one of the things that we looked at when this came, at least to my table is we can't use her funds for certain things. So we
Right.
had to make sure that this qualified. And there was things in this original scope of work that are disqualified from doing it. And so those things would not be involved in this, which would be a bus stop. There was some aesthetic things that were going to be in there, artistic things, and those are going to be removed from design. If you wanted to put those back in, it would have to come from the general fund. So to use her funds and also to look at our long-range transportation plan, this was to get bicyclists out of the roadway for safety. And in that case, we can use her funds for our match.
I got you. It's just,
It's a lot.
it's a lot.
But-
It's a
but-
lot of money for a 1 mile bike path.
So has this design been revisited or has it been updated? And this is the cost now?
So basically, if we accept this IGA, it can go and be designed now and be constructed.
But the other key thing is we're not doing it.
Right.
So we're
Oh,
giving
so
money.
we're not doing it. So
No,
we're,
ADOT's doing it.
We're not doing the work or handling that.
okay.
And
So,
excuse-
and they weren't able to give you any specifications on why it costs so much or
No,
who they're using or what
They
contract.
did say that we should probably reengage ADOT leadership to get clarification and see if they'd be willing to maybe adopt the IGA or not adopt,
Just give us some money.
adjust the IGA to put in a bike path at a significantly less cost and allow us to do it rather than ADOT to do it. But we have to reengage ADOT to do that.
And
So
can you explain, there's also, it's an alternative road use, isn't that where these grants come from that are specifically directed towards?
Well, what ultimately is trying to be done in the long-range transportation plan is give the opportunity for non-motorized, vehicles, walking, bicycles and things like that to use these paths and keep them out of the roadway.
So another option would be not to vote on this and to table it and then ask our engineer and public works guys, and if you want me, I'll get absolutely involved in this, is to go back to ADOT. This is, I think, an old, long time thing that nobody quite understands because it's been there for a long time. Sounds like it's been bumped along slowly but surely over the past.
But it's a design, right? You haven't even
Yeah.
done the design. So it's been for 15 years or?
So remember, this bike path has been done in phases. So this is the last phase of the bike path to
Oh, that one.
complete from the Newman Trail to Highway 92. So this would actually be the last phase of this bike path.
Wonder how much the total was.
I don't know. I think it would be a better use of tax dollars to find the most efficient way to do this, which would be to have Mr. Simmons and Mr. Fazio design this thing and then have the county do it for a quarter of the cost. Let's just say I came up with that number through some discussions. It may be even less than a quarter of the cost to do that. And then ask ADOT to use that money to fix 191 because they took the money out of the budget to do the 191 paving and say, just take that $1.5 million and throw it at 191 and repave 191 instead. And we'll take care of the bike path. Move on, draw fire, as they say.
So we're gonna table it or?
I mean, would you be willing to re-engage ADOT on this?
I would be. I mean, we prioritize our roads, obviously. And
Sure.
so based on time and money, this is something that, in my mind, we would have a contractor go do it. And because we would have a lot of lost opportunity. if we're working on
Even
a
still, if you had a
bicycle path.
contractor do it, we just, to basically put down a base and then chip seal over the top of a bike path, which is not holding 40 tons, which most of our roads have to carry, right? 40 tons. We're talking about a bike path, right? That maybe's got, a couple hundred pounds on it. So, I mean, I think we need to do the right thing financially here for the taxpayers and at least go back to ADOT and say, hey, we looked at this. We kind of think $2.5 million is a little crazy for a 1 mile bike path. We think we can do it for less. What do you say we kind of negotiate this out and, take that money and go pave a highway, go pave 191 or.
And if they couldn't, because it was in that particular, alternative, whatever they call it, transportation fund, maybe they could direct that money to the lavender pit because that is out of hand too. So at least something, because if you don't, I guess let's talk about it and meet with them. Because when I talked to ADOT when we were doing the port, their numbers never did even line up, and they don't know what the numbers are, and they don't know what they're spending, so.
Yeah,
Sorry, Dad, but.
yeah. So that's where I'm at. So any other comments, Mr. Crosby?
My colleagues' points are well taken.
So with that, is someone willing to make a motion to table pending?
Making the motions.
Did you want to add anything, Ms. Gilman?
I just wanted to make sure the board understood that this grant money is tied to those alternative uses. It's not as if that
Right.
grant money can go to a road. I just wanted to make sure that was
No,
clear,
no, no,
but
it's ADOT's money.
right.
I'm not
Okay.
talking about our money.
There is something else I want to make sure
Oh,
that's,
okay.
that you're aware of, is that we do have a timetable that we're working on. So if we don't accept this grant, it is possible that this money would just go to Maricopa or another county. So
Yeah,
I just want to
well,
make sure
then
that you're
we'll
aware
have
of
to-
that.
We'll have to move fast and do this so we can, when's our next board meeting?
August 11th. So
Okay.
that would be your date certain.
August 11th. Okay, so can I get a motion to table agenda item 10 until August 11th, please?
Mr. Chair, I move we table item number 10, approve intergovernmental agreement IGA 26-0011629-I between Arizona Department of Transportation and Cochise County for the design and construction of extending the existing Newman Trail to connect to the City of Sierra Vista Bicycle and Multi-Use Path Network and Greater Cochise County Multi-Use Trail Network in the amount of $2,341,523 with the local match of $133,466 effective upon signing of all parties.
Second.
All right, any discussion? I just want to add that we'll do what we can as quickly as possible to get with ADOT and make sure if you want, you can pull me in on that, or you guys can go first if you want to go try to talk to him first, but if you need me, I'd be more than happy to join the discussion with you guys.
Okay, maybe if we could get contact information of anybody you've talked to already too, that'd be handy.
It was, I don't have it handy, but I could find it. It was the 4 folks from ADOT that came down to Wilcox for the listening tour on roads in Cochise County, state roads that need help. And so I brought up the port, of course, for Ms. Gomez. I brought up 191, 186, 181, all needing to be looked at and whatnot. So, but then while I was there, I brought up this and I said, boy, you guys took $2 million out of the budget to fix 191. And strangely, I see this grant for $2 million to do 1 mile bike path. I would much rather pave a couple miles of 191 than a 1 mile bike path. So could we, and they said, yeah, it sounds reasonable. You need to re-engage. And so I'll try to get that as quickly as I can. But we do need to go talk to him because this does. And when I talked to Senator Gallen and Representative Griffin and Diaz about it, they're like, well, we didn't ask for it. They didn't ask for it. So they knew nothing about it either. So it was just an interesting thing from the state and whatnot. But I think giving it 2 weeks, what is it, 2 weeks? Yeah, 2 weeks. Yeah, giving it 2 weeks is enough time to do a little homework on it and then see if we can find an alternative, pardon the pun, path to getting the bike path completed. So with that, yes, Ms. Crosby.
Yeah, just to note, it appears that we are about to drastically amend item number 10. I just thought I'd mention that, and I'm willing to.
We're just tabling it.
Okay, that's pretty drastic.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. So yeah, okay. So we are going to table item 10 for 2 weeks to allow the opportunity to readdress this with ADOT and see if we can come up with a more reasonable approach. That's what we're basically doing. So, and then we'll come back, we'll put it back on the agenda and it may be amended based on those discussions. And then we can make a decision at that time.
Yeah, I just mentioned that because we're about to come up on a discussion on item number 12, which has to do with amending an agenda. We do it pretty frequently.
Oh, I get what you're saying. So you're worried that
Making a point.
we're just tabling it. We're not amending it. So, all right. So the motion before the board is to table agenda item number 10th until our August 11th regular meeting. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Item 10 has been officially tabled until August 11th.
Thank you.
And we'll see you guys again.
And thank you for recognizing those hard workers out in the field
Yeah.
during monsoon season.
And it would, it's better than killing it outright, which is what I was
I know
probably
you would do.
leaning towards. So, okay, Next up, agenda item number 11. Can I get a motion to move agenda item number 11, please?
Yes, Chairman, I move that we approve Community Enhancement Fund expenditures for District 3, allocation for Sunsites Community Center in the amount of $5,000.
Second.
All right, this item is at the request. They had their air conditioner in the community center go out, and they asked for some help in that. That community center is widely used. I've been there with the sheriff probably about 3 or 4 times. They do use it as a meeting center for the entire Pierce Sunsite community, and it's used quite frequently. They do other events in there. The VFW does events in there and everything. So it is a widely used community center, and they do need help. Even though it's monsoon season right now, it does get quite balmy. So they're asking for a little support in that. So that's why I've asked you to help me by approving this $5,000 for their air conditioner. So with that, any other discussion?
No, sir.
All right, the motion before the board is to approve community enhancement funds for the Sunsites Community Center in the amount of $5,000. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. All right, thank you guys. All right, next up, can I get a motion to move agenda item number 12, please?
Mr. Chair, I move we ratify the board's direction to the county attorney's office to investigate whether the Arizona Attorney General exceeded her authority with respect to alleged interference in business development activities within Cochise County pursuant to ARS 38431.05A and ARS 38431.05B in connection with actions taken at the July 7th, 2026 special board meeting.
Second.
All right, brief explanation on this, and then I'll go to Ms. Gilman or our Chief Civil Deputy for additional clarification. So what we did is we had an executive session to discuss issues regarding some recent activity by the Attorney General in Cochise County that I feel personally had a detriment to the county. And after speaking with several people this past weekend that had a job lined up for that place, I'm more confident than ever that we're doing the right thing. What this is not a criminal investigation. Somebody in the newspaper and somebody on one of the TV stations in Tucson says we're criminally investigating. We can't criminally investigate the Attorney General. What we're doing is we're looking into the possibility that she violated Title 41 and exceeded her authority, and if there is or is not a civil remedy on behalf of the county. We may find out there's nothing we could do. We may find out there is something we can do, but that's what the purpose of this is. And it's basically to see if she is within her authority to do so, and if so, then that be it. And if not, then we can look at doing a civil remedy. The ombudsman, because in that original motion, it was to look at the issue specific to the aluminum recycling plant in Benson that was being developed by Aluminum Dynamics Incorporation. But during that meeting, I brought up that she also interfered in the Riverview stuff by getting Riverview to pay $11 million and to agree to fallow a bunch of acreage and pay for some new wells and some other stuff out there. And I don't think she has the authority to do that either. So I asked that to be added. The ombudsman said that because the original one did not include that we exceeded our authority as far as the scope of the agenda item by adding that, and that we need to redo this to add that clarification that we're asking to look at all incidents within the county related to the Attorney General being involved in planning, zoning, code enforcement, and other items related in the county. So that's what this is being readdressed for today.
I have a question.
Sure.
We actually did that in a work session, didn't we? Wasn't it in a work session? And then actually
special meeting.
It was a special meeting. So the other thing I think I added because of the opportunity zones that are going to be done in the port of entry and with Douglas. And I don't understand why everyone's upset with this, because what you're doing is either giving her more authority by saying that she does have the authority to be able to come in and shut a business down based on feedback from the community or whatever. But I would like to know before I go out and try to get light manufacturing or whatever, what her authority is, because I do not want to waste anybody's time in pursuing a business that she's going to come in and use a nuisance law to stop. So it's just the authority, the ability to understand what her authority really is. And, you know, to me, it seems a lot of politicizing and in a time of an election. So I just want to know the ground rules. I don't know the ground rules because she came in with Riverview and she did, and with ADI, and having that NDA and doing all that she didn't sound legal. I mean, if we did that, we could, you know, we would be ran out of town. So I don't understand why people are upset, because this is just understanding what the border, you know, your guidelines are. Who do I and how can I go and bring, you know, economic development to a severely distressed area of 16,000 people who want jobs, who have a 32 median age is the people that is in my town, and they want jobs. But I'm already hearing, based on the opportunity zones and going out to different, whether it's La Raza or La Chicanos for La Casa, or, you know, a hedge fund in New York, concerns about doing business in Cochise County. So as a board of supervisors, I believe it is, I don't believe, I know it's our role to find out what we can do to bring jobs to this area and whether or not the Attorney General is going to interfere with it. And I'm already hearing that. So with all the people out there who say they have all these, you know, fine what Vincent did, they have the right to do it. But now the people in Douglas and even the mayor are saying, okay, what can we bring in? We were a smelter city. You should have brought the smelter down to Douglas. That's how I feel. We'll take a bowling alley. We want things to do in our community where people who have lived in that area for a long time, generations. And so that's what I am being asked by, let's say, 8,000 people of Douglas. What are you going to do to bring jobs? And right now, it's a real concern from businesses outside of Arizona in coming to Cochise County, and in a lot of times even coming to Arizona. So we're just asking what the ground rules are and what the guidelines are.
So back to what I was getting at was I spoke to a very prominent Tucson real estate attorney. I also spoke with Mr. Lasota, who we used in the past. And I've also had a few other attorneys tell me they have never seen, ever in the history of the state of Arizona, the nuisance statute used in that way, ever. And because it has never gone to court, and she does this outside of a courtroom, that could never be validated as either proper or improper, because it never gets to a courtroom and it's never determined whether she is able to apply that statute in the way she is using it to interact with these private companies. My heartburn is this. Companies that come to Arizona that are lawfully allowed to do business in the state of Arizona have certain legal protections, and they also have certain legal duties to comply with federal, state, local laws and ordinances, and they also have to comply with the processes necessary to obtain the proper permits. This company did that. And what was really amazing is that permit that they applied for was reviewed and approved by the Attorney General's office. Her office actually approved their permit. She reviewed it and said it was done correctly. It met the statutory requirements, and she recommended to ADEQ to approve the permit. 2 months goes by or so. I don't know the exact date, but a couple months goes by. And then she sends a quiet letter to the director of ADEQ, says, no, I've thought about it, and I think we should reopen this process. And I got this other guy who has a different opinion, and I used state funds to hire him to do a study, and I want to share that study with you, but I can't let you see the study or the name of the guy unless you sign a non-disclosure agreement that you won't disclose any of this stuff. And to the credit of the director of ADEQ, who is, from what I understand, an environmental attorney herself, responded back to the Attorney General and said, no, we are not doing this behind closed scenes. I am going to make this public. And we got a copy of those letters because she did make it public, and said, I'm going to follow the law. The issue was reviewed by ADEQ and approved by your office as being done properly and adequately. And I'm not going to spend thousands and thousands of dollars and hours and hours and hours to revisit an issue that was already done properly and verified and approved by your office. To me, that clearly sent a message that what she was doing was not in accordance with statute, law, or regulation, but it was clearly a political maneuver to in my opinion, divide a community and gain a certain amount of political advantage and votes in that area by catering to a segment of the population that, in my opinion, is financially secure and quite frankly doesn't care about people that are trying to get jobs and feed their families and get health care coverage and whatnot, because they're comfortable and they don't want nothing to change. That's fine. They have a right to that opinion. But what they don't have a right to do is dictate to private companies on their private property or to individuals that are trying to find a job what they can and can't do, especially if they're following the law and they're meeting all the requirements of the regulation. So that is the concern that I had, and that's why I'm asking our county attorney to do just some basic research, public information requests, and other information that can be gathered so that we can then take a look at it and then maybe even consider hiring or bringing in an outside environmental lawyer to look at the nuisance piece of it, to advise us on what our next steps are. And then we will take the appropriate steps at that time and that place. But as you said, and I've heard it too, because I've got a business that wants to come in to Cochise County that are concerned that if somebody raises the water issue, even though they're complying with the water and doing everything they can to conserve as much water, that if somebody doesn't like their business, an individual, and they get everybody spun up and stirred up, that they'll attack them, and they don't want to spend the time and money and the investment only to have the Attorney General come in and put pressure on them or cause grief or delay and cost them money doing that. So that is a concern, and it is a damaging message. And I want to remind everybody, if you didn't see it in the paper, the employment rate in Cochise County has dropped and continues to decline. We lost 1,200 jobs since January, 600 of those government jobs and a little over 600 non-farm jobs. And with the exception of Tombstone, every single city in this county has seen an unemployment rate increase, including the county-wide as a whole. And yet we have the Attorney General coming down here and killing not just 65 jobs, but thousands of jobs, construction jobs, machinists, pipe fitters, electricians, fabricators, concrete guys that were going to help build that project. And I've also understood, although the dairy won't admit it, I've been told that they've reduced their hiring and they've been slowly attriting their workforce out there, which may contribute to some of the other job loss because they're no longer required to maintain those fields out there. So the guys that plant the corn, grow the corn, cut the corn, transport the corn, they don't need as many of those guys. So they've quietly scaled back. Even though they said they weren't going to fire anybody, they're not rehiring through attrition as those positions are away. So that is affecting this unemployment rate in this county. And what's even more startling is we have 127,000 people, give or take, in this county. Only 33,000 of them are employed. Let that sink in. That's 25% of the population in this county is pulling the wagon and working. All right. The other 75%, some of them are retired, some of them are kids, but there's a large portion of them that are within the employable ages that just aren't working. I think the last estimate I saw, we had somewhere between 45 to 50,000 population of an employable workforce, and only 33,000 are employed. That's telling me, do the math on that, that's like 12, 13,000. No, it's more than that. It's 23. Yeah, no, 17,000 people that could be employed, that could be finding jobs, that could be working. And we're trying to go in that direction, and yet we're getting resistance from a segment of the population of this county and the Attorney General to stop that. And it's at the detriment of a significant segment of the population that we are also supposed to represent, not just those that are against virtually everything as far as development goes in this county. So with that, do you have any other?
I do have significant
Sure. Go ahead.
comments. And first, I'm going to quote Article 3 of the Arizona Constitution, distribution of powers. The powers of the government of the state of Arizona shall be divided into 3 separate departments: the legislative, the executive, and the judicial. And, except as provided in this Constitution, such departments shall be separate and distinct, and no one of such departments shall exercise the powers properly belonging to the others. So in this case, you mentioned that there is an Arizona Department of Environmental Quality, and then within the Attorney General's office, there's a subsection of environmental law. So there's overlap there, and maybe there shouldn't be overlap, as you mentioned, the reasons why. So last week in the meeting about the rules of order, there were two significant documents which I left. And the speaker that we had in the olive pantsuit that is still with us may benefit from the document in the fine print, which is titled up at the top, Rule ER 1.13. And the reason for that is because that has to do with the potential of who does the county attorney represent or not. And so we talked about that a lot in the executive session part of our meeting, and I left that document for everybody's perusal, as well as this document, which is many pages, with which a faded 16 up at the top. And this has to do with the ombudsman and all that kind of stuff. So it says that under this chapter, null and void, ARS 38431.05. This is what we got to watch out for. Meetings held in violation of article business transacted, null and void ratification. So it's basically all legal action transacted in any public body during a meeting held in violation of any provision of this article is null and void except as provided for in subsection B. So that is the threat that we are under, that whatever we do next having to, well, with whatever the county attorney has to do with opinion or anything having to do with the attorney general could be declared, well, this is null and void because you didn't do this, that, and the other thing, or you changed the agenda item. Okay. And so that's why I pointed out, we just changed the agenda item in number 10 and put it on the table. And there could be many different ways that we change an agenda item, that somebody, hey, you changed the agenda item. That wasn't properly noticed and all that kind of stuff. That's just parliamentary procedure. So I wonder if do you have a document that I sent? Maybe you don't have it. To Ms. Lowenheim. No, you don't have it. Okay, well, let's see what I have. And I'll just tell you what it is after I get it fired up. And this has to do with the subject of COVID and back in 2022. And this was the threat against me. Basically, we had the head of the health department and the former chairperson of the board saying that the topic on the agenda was testing, which it was not. It was transmission, and I used the term spreading. Okay, so they filed a open meeting violation against me, saying I was doing something that wasn't on the agenda, when it was the opposite. It was them that was doing what was not on the agenda, and I just used the term spreading instead of transmission. So I want to tell you what the threat was. The threat is Mr. Karwachka stated that an open meeting violation could result in increased liability to the county, fines, or removal from office. So you've always got this threat going on from these open meeting laws by, in my opinion, a leftist viewpoint. If you are not of a leftist viewpoint, this is what's going to come down on you, is this kind of threats. And that's what we got here, in my opinion. Okay. So let me go down a little bit further on this. And I'm sorry that it isn't available up on the big board, but I'll tell you where it was. It was from April of 22. And I'm just going to scroll down here to read something else pertinent. Okay. So this is ARS 43102, notice of meetings. And I'm just going to read the last sentence. It's paragraph H. The public body may discuss, consider, or make decisions only on matters listed on the agenda and other matters related thereto. So if we're talking about other matters related thereto, in this case, is it the aluminum plant or is it business in general of Cochise County? That's other matters related thereto, and we could talk about that. It says, we can vote on it too, I believe. Let's see. Well, anyway, that's the point.
Yeah.
So you can't just whip out these open meeting laws and say that we're doing this and this is going to be null and void and we're in big trouble and all this kind of stuff. And it prevents us from doing our job. which is being elected representatives. So if anything is in the way, whether it's the whatever policies of the Attorney General, including open meeting law, that prevents the public from receiving elected representation, then we can't have that, because that is clearly unconstitutional, in my opinion. That concludes my comments at this time.
No, yeah, I mean, you bring up a valid point, and that's back to the separation of powers, right? She's technically under the executive branch. She's not under the legislative or judicial. All right, but she's exercising the power of all three. And that's the other concern that I have, that, you know, if we are forced to stay in our lane, and likewise, based on the statute and whatnot, she should stay in hers. So any other discussion before I go to public comment?
No, I think that's a really great statement. We have to stay in our lane, understood, but she needs to also, and we need to know what the lane is, because I want to bring jobs to Douglas, much needed, severely distressed area. And
Like the
that's what I'm doing.
smelter. So you and the mayor want to get the smelter open.
We're
A bunch of people
but yeah.
from even other counties come in and cry that they don't want the smelter because it's going to put stuff in the air and it's going to kill everybody or whatever they're going to say. And you try to get it open. You spend all this money with the mining companies and everybody else that gets it open. And then all of a sudden she comes rolling in and through caveat says, I'm going to sue the living daylights out of you, bankrupt you if you don't shut the smelter down.
Right.
So that's the difference.
And that'll be the end of Douglas, because we have a one shot. And I've been told by many economists,
Yep.
who said, this is your chance. And if you don't do it now, you're never going to get it again. And I really strongly believe that. And yeah, I've talked to people, would you be interested in this smelter? They go, nowadays, it's not like the smelter of PD back in the day where there was a lot of, environmental issues. Now things are much, much different. And our community they want jobs. We have a lot of people that also work over here and live in Agua Prieta because they, it's just a dual city. So we're looking at also 300,000 people on the other side. So yes, it's a real problem when you have companies saying to you, we don't know what the business environment is, even though you have opportunity zones, because of what's going on. So we're going to wait it out. And, waiting it out, they'll just find some other state to go to.
Right.
So.
And again, we need that clarification so that we could do the economic development we need to do. So with that, we're going to go to the public and do the call to the public. First person that's requested to speak is Miss Char Poirier. I'm not good with French names. I'm sorry.
Miss Poirier.
Poirier. Yes. Miss Poirier. You have 3 minutes, ma'am. Yeah, we're having a hard time hearing you. You're cutting out a little bit, but you have 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Char Poirier again, in McNeil. We have the right to the enjoyment of our property, and we have the right to say no. There are far better uses for county employees and attorneys' time than seeking a lawsuit against Attorney General Chris Mapes. It's perfect timing as the midterm election approaches. Make her look bad so her opponent, Warren Peterson, an elected denier, appears more attractive to voters. Mays listened to constituents who have dealt with declining water tables and dry wells for years, while agriculture continued to pull massive groundwater amounts for their crops in the Wilcox groundwater basin. The Arizona Department of Water Resources, A.G. Mays, and Governor Katie Hobbs did listen to them, and an active management area was established. People in Benson came forward and asked her to help with Aluminum Dynamics. They have the right to do that. They talked about the environmental problems of an aluminum recycling facility, along with a new concrete facility to serve its construction, and Mays gave them a voice. Residents are tired of watching their water quality and supply decline as the degradation of the environment and their rights to enjoy their property. Now you're asking our county's attorney's office to see if there is a potential lawsuit you can file to prevent A.G. Mays from doing things to help more constituents with their problems. This is a waste of our taxpayer money during a year which you all have noted will not produce the revenue needed to run the county. It makes no sense to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Poirier. Next up is Donna Quisenberry. Ms. Quisenberry? You have 3 minutes.
I find it interesting that in one of your recent work sessions, you discussed needing outside legal representation because of a conflict with the county attorney. Now you're wanting the county attorney to investigate the state attorney general because you think she may have exceeded her authority with respect to alleged interference in business development activities in Cochise County. The removal of Aluminum Dynamics from this investigation does not go unnoticed. When word of ADI first came to light, all the board would say is, that is Benson, we have no authority over the city. There were over 850 letters written to ADEQ opposing ADI. Most of those were from county residents. There was standing room only in the town hall she held in Benson. The fact that you are even discussing this shows how out of touch the three of you are with your constituents by going after the one that stepped up to help them. It's my understanding that this is about a request for someone to sign a non-disclosure agreement to protect a third party. I believe that there are more than a few elected officials that have signed them over data centers and solar farms. The three of you have been asked in board meeting that I recently attended. I believe this is a waste of money the county does not have. To what end? Is the county going to sue the state? In my opinion, all of this is just adding more to your pink slips, maybe even enough signatures for recalls. People are watching. Your choice.
You can go at any time over to the elections director's office. I've actually told her to be prepared that you're welcome to go pick up the paperwork to try to do recall anytime. It's your right to do so, and I'd welcome the opportunity. I actually would like you guys to do that. So anyways, I want to make sure, did you sign any NDAs with anybody?
I did not, and they were asked, two constituents in this area right here, asked for my phone and my emails to see if I had signed an NDA. Not only did they ask if I signed an NDA with any data center, but whether I had looked into any legislation that dealt with data centers. I worked on the Hill for 10 years. On that job, I looked at all legislation doing with any issue, whether it was animal welfare, taxation, the armed forces. You look at both sides to have a better understanding of the issue. And in fact, that was my big problem because I said, boy, it was all over in social media that I had signed an NDA. But guess what? After getting my emails and my phone, there was no NDA I had ever signed. I had not talked to a data center. I didn't even really look at legislation. I talked to other county officials in other counties in other states about the problem. And then from that NACO, the National Association of County Organizations, they said, get an ordinance in there so you can protect the community from having a data center go in, because now if you don't have an ordinance, they can go in under general business and establish themselves. And, my gosh, you would have thought that, I had opened the doors. What we did was protect. It may not be totally where you say you can't do one, but I don't think that that's the right way because technology changes and things can change. So no, I never signed an NDA, nor did those people admit that I had never signed an NDA.
Ms. Crosby, have you signed any NDAs of any kind?
No NDAs.
No, me neither. I haven't signed any NDAs. So let's put that to rest. And my phone and my emails have been searched as well. And the public records for the county, there's no NDAs. We're not asking for NDAs. We're being overtly transparent with this, which is why we have such attention being placed upon us as well. But I do represent 45,000 people. And I listen to a lot of them. And I've been in this, just like you, we've been at this for a while. We can tell the difference between certain opinions and the intensity of which each has. So let's go next to Miss Allison Morse. I already introduced you, so no need to do it again in this particular meeting. I just find it ironic that you're on your phone. And you're wearing
my
a shirt
speech-
that says no data centers. I just find that.
This is not I'm not speaking.
No, you're not. We're going to restart your time. I just find it ironic. That's all. I was just pointing that out so the people at home could see you're wearing a shirt that says no
Thank
data
you,
center.
Mr. Chair and members of the board. I am strongly opposed to this agenda item. Just to clarify, Riverview approached Attorney General Mays to negotiate a settlement, not the other way around. The motion for the special meeting on July 7th was worded as follows, quote, request that the county attorney's office investigate whether the attorney general exceeded her authority with respect to her office's alleged interference with the proposed Aluminum Dynamics, Inc. aluminum recycling plant in Benson pursuant to ARS 11-25114. At about 22 minutes into the recording of that meeting, the chair expressed his desire to make the motion, quote, more expansive and not just restricted to ADI. The agenda item was substantially changed to say, quote, businesses lawfully operating in Cochise County to include research and public records retrieval and return to the board to provide the findings and recommendations, end quote. The new motion was very different from the original one, but was approved unanimously and became suspect of an open meeting law violation. As I've said before, it was Benson residents who should be credited for preventing the development of this notoriously large polluting industry in their backyards. They organized themselves, showed up at meetings, and continually voiced their opposition. Attorney General Chris Mays came down from Phoenix to listen to residents' concerns, as she has done for those in the Wilcox Basin that have been negatively impacted by Riverview's overpumping of groundwater. She shows up because she cares about the state's rural communities. Cochise County cannot afford to spend our limited tax dollars to go looking for any reason to denigrate our beloved and widely respected State Attorney General Chris Mays. She takes her job seriously to protect all Arizonans and vulnerable Cochise County residents in particular from those who want to strip away our rights, encourage polluting industries, and watch by the sidelines as our groundwater supplies continue to decline. It's no coincidence that this effort has been mounted just a few months before November's midterm election, but I believe you all will discover at that time, about 100 days from now, just how strongly Cochise County voters oppose this action when they re-elect Chris Mays for Attorney General and not the candidate of your choice. Thank you.
Next up, we have Diana Lamar. Miss Lamar. You have 3 minutes, ma'am.
2 minutes?
Three
Oh,
minutes. You have 3
thank
minutes.
you.
Go ahead.
Hello again, Diana Lamar. I just wanted to let you know that I am not against all industry or advancement. I'm not against open meeting laws. I don't think open meeting law is a leftist document. I have grave concerns about a new smelter. If that is seriously in consideration, I would like to hear why Ms. Gomez supports that. We have had water problems and environmental problems that have been ignored in Arizona for decades by our legislature. So the fact that Attorney General Mays has shown interest and been responsive to community members' concerns is a good thing, and it's about time. I would venture that the majority of informed residents of the county do not want our supervisors to pursue retribution or questionable lawsuits that cost taxpayers money that could be used and should be used for more urgent needs. I don't believe this proposed action is good for the community. The community of Benson spoke for themselves and spoke clearly. Likewise, in the past, have members of the Douglas and Wilcox Basin regarding water. Let's see, I've got so many scribbles. As stated in a recent Board of Supervisors work session, the Attorney General, I quote, is a premier example of a politician that happens to be an attorney. Don't tell me for 1 minute that she does not make decisions based on politics and then tries to back it up with some legal wrangling of an excuse of whatever she wants to do. That has a familiar ring to it. I'll continue with the quote. That's exactly the argument we have. We don't know who our county attorneys are going to be. We could have a Democrat county attorney, and that Democratic county attorney can become a nightmare for us because she disagrees with us politically. She will use whatever availability of the law is at her disposal or his disposal to come after the board, just like the AG does. She uses lawfare for political gain, end quote. None of your constituents should be forced to become a part of your campaign against Attorney General Mays in an effort to promote your preferred candidate. Your presumption is that no one opposing you has any objectivity, that one's politics always interferes with job performance, and that is patently false. Thank you.
All right. I'm gonna add, so here's the point. It is selectively applied. I'll give you an example. We had a Colorado River Compact problem where the lower Colorado River states were basically overusing their water to the detriment of the state of Arizona. I don't know if you saw, there was a new agreement done that basically requires us to reduce 1/3 of our CAP and Colorado River water.
Can there be order in the lobby? We have to listen to everyone. I think that they should then have the ability, or at least the decency, to listen to why we make these decisions.
All right.
So it just shows.
So anyways, what I was getting at was the Attorney General didn't get involved in that, where Arizona was being basically cheated of our Colorado River allocation. And it ended up being negotiated where basically the state lost about 1/3 of its river water allocation. You have industries all through Metro Phoenix. And I'll give you an example of one. And you want to talk about water? This is the actual ADEQ report from Taiwan Semiconductor's year of operation in 2025. I don't have 2026 because it's still going on. They used 4.75 million gallons of water a day. I don't see the Attorney General going after Taiwan Semiconductor. Why? Because it's a huge major employer in Phoenix. Okay. And it's supported by the governor and it's supported by a bunch of other, but yet they use more water in a day than we use in this entire county at one plant. Okay. We have orchards that have come into this county from California that have about 35,000 planted acres that pecan trees are using roughly 200 gallons of water per tree per day. And pistachios are probably using 120 to 150 gallons per tree. Yet she doesn't go after the orchards. She goes after a dairy, which is a nice headline for her. And again, you can call it what you want, but to me, it seems the cherry picking of what I'm going to pursue and not pursue and what I'm going to ignore and not ignore is also suspect in my opinion. The fact that she keeps coming down here to pick on businesses in Cochise County while she ignores significant water usage of businesses and polluting, by the way, also in various entities. She ignores those up in Maricopa County, but she likes to come down to Cochise County. Then she goes back and she uses that headline to raise money with various environmental groups. So if you want to play the politics game and whose candidate is whose, let's play that game. And that's what's going on here. That's the purpose of what it is, purely political. She is attacking private industries who basically have done nothing wrong so that she could go do whatever her political agenda is. And that's really what we're talking about here. This has nothing to do, as far as I'm concerned, with her and Mr. Peterson's race. This has to do with her hurting the potential to recruit industries and businesses to come to this county to employ, what did I say, was 17,000 people in this county that are looking for work. And trying to find a job. That's really what this issue is about. But you can spin it, and just like I spun it, and I can sort of imply what her motivation was. You can imply what our motivation is. I'm a public figure. You could say pretty much anything you want about me, as Ms. Morris may find out now that she's a public figure. But I don't know, did you want to add any comment to Ms. Lamar's comment?
Thank you.
Go ahead.
I do, because she mentioned me. So in a conversation that I've had with several different people in Douglas, we were banting about how it's too bad that the smelter didn't come to Douglas or even talk to us about it, because we were a smelter city. I grew up in a smelter city, for however long to 1978. So it was a discussion. Now, here's the other thing, right? We as elected officials can't seem to have a discussion because anything we discuss then becomes, oh my God, this is what they're going to do. The things that do become what we have decided to do is when we take a vote. So when we have open discussion, and that should seem to be good for the community, that's what it is. It's a discussion, Ms. Lamar. It's not a fact. We're not pursuing a smelter, but it was a discussion in which we, the community, and I talked to a lot of people. I know a lot of people in Douglas, as you well know, and I've known them for 40, 50 years. And we have conversations. I have coffee with them. They come to my office all the time, and this is what we talk about. So it is a discussion. It's not anything that's going to be done. But I think if some business like that does come to Douglas, there would be a conversation and discussion about it. And that should be something that happens no matter if you oppose it or not. Discussion is always good. I'd also like to note that when we push back or when we say, hey, this is why we're doing this, this is why we feel this way, it's amazing how people leave the lobby or leave the area. They just want to hear, they want to be able to say what they want to say, but they don't want to have a discussion and they don't want to hear the opposing views. So it's hopefully with this new technology we're going to have for the public hearings, people will be able to see who leaves and who stays throughout the meeting to really understand why we make the decisions we do.
All right, next up is Ms. Ronnie Maestas Condos. Ms. Maestas Condos, are you online? Oh, she wasn't on. Was she the lady that we tried to?
She just needs to unmute.
Oh, she needs to unmute.
Oh. Okay, I'm here. Can you hear me?
All right, ma'am, you have 3 minutes.
Okay. Wow, there's been a lot said. It's pretty heated discussion, pretty volatile item. So thanks to everybody for all your comments, and it educated me. First thing I would like to say is I think it's a good thing that we clarify what the roles are for the Attorney General. To me, it's a good thing, but you don't have to do like a lawsuit or, just like you said, Supervisor Antonori, that you can do a little research, find out the laws around it and give us that information. I think that's a good thing. Clarification is good, especially when there's so many different opinions. But I oppose it going any further than that, using public resources to investigate a colleague, basically. And the people of Benson, this has been said many times, she didn't come down here to interfere with anything. The people of Benson are concerned for their physical health, for their property values, for a lot of things. And she listened to them. That's why she came down. She didn't come down to interfere. And you made some points about what they're doing in Phoenix. Okay, that may be so, but our concern is here in Cochise County, and a lot of people feel like we're not getting listened to, especially around environmental things. And okay, I understand the priority is economics, but oftentimes people just don't feel really listened to, especially about things concerning our health. Okay, and that's basically all I have to say. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Chairman,
Yeah.
Can I just add something I just
Sure.
remembered? About water and the nut farms. Approximately 92%, that's in our comprehensive plan, of all water use is for agricultural irrigation. And there is an article, tree nut farming is the top private AG industry sector in this county. And also there was an article written that said, okay, splits of trees between locals and California interests might take, okay, but sorry. However, here's a link to it's an Arizona PM story on the matter. Cook has partnered with a family of California nut farmers, and together they have bought nearly 12,000 acres in Cochise County. And half of that is probably in the Bowie area. they use a ton of water, and there's been a lot of discussion on whether the sprinkler system is the best way to do it. So if you're going to be concerned about water, you have to also look at the nut farms, because these guys are using a lot of water and nobody seems to be concerned about their usage. So that's when I get kind of wondering about when people come here and say, you got to look at the water, you got to do the water. We don't want anybody using water. But now you've got all these nut farms. And when you go all the way up, whether you're going to Portal or up 191 or even up Davis Highway, it is amazing how many more nut farms there are. So this, if you're going to be serious about it, then look at these guys too. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, you look at them.
Yeah,
Thank you, man. All right, Mr. Crosby.
in my opinion, the ranchers and the farmers are the ultimate conservationists. It costs them a bunch of money to run a well, and they're not going to use any water that they don't have to use to make their product. That's how they make their living.
She was referencing the application across the board being fair and equal. That's the point I was trying.
Okay, now she's also mentioned, and I agree with this. You got basically the same group of people that want all of the trees in the river that don't want nut trees. Well, let's put nut trees on the river, you know, something like that. I mean, do something wise with it. And same thing with growing alfalfa and so on, you know. I mean, I don't think using water to grow food is a waste. I think, as I've mentioned before, I think growing corn to make gasohol, that's a waste. I've mentioned that before. You don't, food, that's different. We all eat. I eat. I will continue to eat.
All right. So with that, that's the end of the public speakers. So we're going to go to any last minute discussion regarding agenda item number 12 before we call for the vote.
No, sir.
All right. All right. So the motion before the board is to ratify the board's direction to the county attorney to look into, to investigate whether the Arizona Attorney General exceeded her authority with respect to alleged interference in business development activities within Cochise County pursuant to ARS 38431.05A and ARS 38431.05B in connection with actions taken at the July 7th special board meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0. It's ratified. All right. Next up, agenda item number 13. Can I get a motion, please?
Yes, Chairman, I move we approve the renewal of an intergovernmental agreement, IGA, with Cochise College, Sierra Vista Police Department, and the Cochise County Sheriff's Office to continue operating the Southeast Arizona Law Enforcement Training Academy effective July 21st, 2026 through May 27th, 2027.
Second.
Any comment on that? I mean, it's routine extension.
It's been in place for 4 or 5 years. There's nothing
Right.
new. It's just a renewal.
All right. Any questions for the commander?
No, sir.
I have asked and wondered if there is statistics that say retention is better with locally trained deputies and police officers.
And Mr. Crosby, I've heard you ask that. I don't know that we can
prove it.
Yeah, we feel like it's happening. The people that we train here, that especially when we recruit locals and we don't take laterals from other states and things like that, they're locally grown, they have a local job and they're locally trained. They go with our philosophy and not a TPD philosophy or something else, because they're within our culture and they're trained within our culture. We think that's a lot better for the community.
I hope so.
All right, thanks. All right, no further discussion. The motion before the board is to approve the renewal of the IGA with Cochise College, Sierra Vista, and the County Sheriff's Office to continue the Southeast Arizona Law Enforcement Training Academy. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries 3-0. All right. Can I get a motion to move agenda item number 14, please?
Mr. Chair, I move we approve resolution 26-28 to adopt the Cochise County Housing Strategy and Implementation Plan.
I'll second it. All right, let's go to Ms. McGoffin for explanation.
Thank you, and good afternoon, Chairman, members of the board. Before you today is a proposed Cochise County Housing Strategy and Implementation Plan, formerly titled the Cochise County Affordable Housing Plan, attached to Resolution 2628. As you may recall, we presented the consultant's housing assessment during the June work session. Since then, staff has revised the document to incorporate your policy direction, better define the county's role, and expand the implementation strategy to address housing more comprehensively. The broader focus is reflected in the plan's new title. This is not a proposal for the county to build housing, to become a housing developer. Rather, it's a roadmap to help guide future policy decisions, grant applications, partnerships, and funding that the county receives to support current and future residents of Cochise County. Following the work session, we reviewed the consultant's draft from beginning to end. We clarified the county's role as a facilitator and partner rather than a housing provider, incorporated the board's direction throughout the document, and reorganized the implementation section around specific county priorities. The result is a practical plan that reflects how Cochise County can realistically address housing within our authority and jurisdiction. The revised plan provided to the board during the work session was incorporated to include your direction as well as input received during a public May meeting. The board emphasized market-based approaches to increasing housing supply and practical back-to-basics housing choices, including smaller homes, manufactured modular homes, kit homes, adobe construction, traditional quadras, and homes that can expand over time, while also supporting homeownership. The plan also reflects the board direction and reduces unnecessary regulatory barriers where appropriate, supports legislative efforts that expand rural housing opportunities, leverages private investment and outside funding, rather than create ongoing county-funded programs, and supports workforce housing while preserving Cochise County's rural character. The priorities became the foundation for the implementation strategy. The consultant provided the technical analysis, demographics, market conditions, housing needs, stakeholder input. Staff then translated that information into county policy by incorporating the board's priorities, aligning the document with the comprehensive plan, specifically the housing element, defining the county roles, and identifying practical implementation strategies. So today, you are not adopting another study, you're adopting a framework. It provides policy direction, individual implementation actions, such as grant applications, partnerships, funding requests, policy changes will continue to come before the board for separate consideration. As priorities, opportunities, and community needs evolve, the framework can also be updated by the board. The assessment identified several important findings. First, rental affordability continues to be the county's greatest housing challenge. Second, approximately 13,100 existing and future households may experience housing affordability challenges currently, but that does not mean we should or need to build 13,000 subsidized units. It means there's no single solution. We need a combination of rehab, more housing choices, homeownership opportunities, and additional housing supply. The study also found that needs vary across the county, and preserving existing housing is just as important as constructing new housing. This implementation strategy is organized under three priorities. First, preserve the houses we already have. This means strengthening neighborhoods as well as expanding housing opportunities in priority areas, supporting rehab, redevelopment, neighborhood stabilization, and preservation of the existing house supply. Second, expand practical housing choices that fit Cochise County. This includes attainable options such as smaller homes, tiny homes, manufactured homes, modular, adaptive reuses, pre-approved plans, adobe, other regional construction methods, and homes that can expand over time. The third, leverage private investment and partnerships. This means working with cities, nonprofits, developers, employers, state and federal partners, while pursuing grants and supporting tools like LIHTC and USDA Rural Development. USDA alone has over 70 programs. These three priorities really summarize the county's role moving forward. The priorities focus on the county's efforts where we can have the greatest impact. That includes preserving existing housing, encouraging practical housing choices, directing limited resources towards communities with the greatest need, encouraging private investment, and continuing to leverage grants and partnerships. Rather than creating new county programs, the emphasis is on making better use of the tools we currently have. And I want to emphasize one point on this slide. The programs shown here are implementation tools. They are not the implementation plan themselves. The county actions are to pursue grants, coordinate partnerships, support rehab, improve processes where appropriate, and help connect projects with resources. Programs such as LIHTC, USDA Rural Development, and the IDA or Future Housing Trust Fund are financing mechanisms that may be available for individual projects. Adopting this plan does not establish a housing trust, appropriate any county funding, or approve financial incentives. Any of those actions would come back to the board at a future date separately. The county's role is to plan, coordinate, pursue grants, renew unnecessary barriers where appropriate, build partnerships, and create conditions that encourage county housing investment. In other words, we set the table. We are not proposing for the county to build housing, operate housing projects, or replace the housing authority. The plan recognizes both our opportunities and our limitations. This strategy is tailored to fit specifically Cochise County. It reflects the board's policy direction, supports our rural character, encourages practical housing solutions, focuses resources where they're most needed, and relies on partnerships and private investment rather than creating new county housing programs. In short, it's intended to be a practical roadmap, not a mandate. Staff recommends adoption of the Cochise County Housing Strategy and Implementation Plan. If adopted, staff will use the plan to guide future housing policy, grant applications, partnership opportunities. As implementation moves forward, any action requiring funding, staffing, regulatory changes, policy transactions, or other board authority will be brought back to you separately for consideration. And with that, that concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? No, sir.
Just thank you. I mean, after we had that that work session, I was happy to see, I think it's really important that we use some of the old kind of school structures like the cuadras, which are still lived in Douglas. And when I was up in Tucson, I was around the Fort Laurel area, and I was amazed how many cuadras there are too. I just think it's great. It's culturally, it's great. And it also is just incredible use the adobe and how it reacts in heat and in the cold. And you really, I mean, I grew up in my great grandmother's house. We never had AC and we never had heat, a heater. We had a little fire, but it's a great way going in the future. So thank you very much for, listening and including that in your study. You guys did a great job.
Thank you.
I had lunch with a guy that builds houses. And I brought up the topics that we were talking about in the meeting the other day, and he said 100% there is no incentive for these guys to build what they consider low-income houses. He told me as fast as he could build houses, they're either bought by someone with the means to buy the house, or they're bought by a real estate investment trust, which is a hedge fund out of New York or some other kind of buyer. He says as fast as he can put them up because of the shortage that's out there, there is no desire in his part whatsoever to build houses for entry-level affordable families. That's a problem I don't know how to solve. And maybe it's something that we meet with our legislators and with Congressman Siscomani or something like that. But businesses go off incentive. And the private sector says, and I know the government tried building their own houses and doing housing projects, and it failed miserably. So the government does not need to be in the home building business, but there's got to be some other way that we could, because by creating these funds to help people get mortgages and giving them money for down payments, it doesn't help these guys. It incentivizes them to
The banks.
and the banks to expand more. And I'm glad you added it in here that we discussed it. And I just don't think it's a problem solvable at our level, sadly. And it's going to get worse because they have, and they're in a business. He's got 200 employees that work for him. And he says they all want to keep their jobs. And he's got a bunch of subcontractors that work for him. They all want to keep their jobs. And he's building $400,000 to $750,000 homes. And average people that are 25 years old cannot afford $500,000 houses. But that's just the environment out there. And I wish we could figure out a way. We'll just have to keep working on it and see if we could, because I mean, we got to make housing affordable. We just have to. Mr. Crosby.
I would add one of the results of what you're talking about is everything goes up. Everything that used to be starter level doubles and triples.
Yeah, it's just so frustrating. And I mean, the guy would be like, if there was money in it, we'd look at it. But he said low income housing, the word alone drives builders away from it because it means also low margins. It means low return on investment. It means low everything else. And they just don't want to do it. And that's unfortunate because there's a lot of people out there that would love to be able to buy a house and have their home. It's the American dream, right? But they're being priced out. It's just sad that houses cost so much money.
I guess that's why maybe the opt-out community is something that is that kind of dream you can have without going the traditional route, which is what I like about the opt-out community, especially in using Adobe style homes. You don't have to have, that's the other thing. We don't need 3,000 square feet. Everyone I know who has that is downsizing. So, I think maybe we as a community or as a buyer, you think, you can always add on, you start small.
I appreciate your effort in this. It is a huge problem, and I'm glad we're trying to do what we can to resolve it. But I think it's beyond our control, sadly. With that, any other questions? So, sure. All right, so we will then move to approve agenda item 14, resolution 2628 to adopt the Cochise County Housing Strategy and Implementation Plan. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries 3-0. And I just got a ting on my watch. I'm supposed to be somewhere at 12:30.
We're rescheduling.
Okay. All right. All right. So I guess that's cool. All right. Next up, can I get a motion of agenda item 15, please?
Mr. Chair, I move we approve contract 26-15-AIR-01 with H.W. Lochner, Inc. for on-call airport engineering services at Bisbee Douglas International Airport and Cochise County Airport in Wilcox, effective July 28th, 2026, for a term of 5 years.
Second.
All right. We'll go to
Well, good morning.
Mr. Crowley for an explanation real quick.
Yes, Lochner is a consultant for us at our airports. And they work very diligently with us on our grants and all the infrastructure that is funded by ADOT and the FAA.
You have a question, sir? Any questions?
No, it's just, explain to me again. It's just like explain to me what the on-call is.
Okay, it's a fee-based, I guess I said, I'm trying to, they work by the hour, because we don't know at any given time how much the grants are going to be worth. So it's a very strange structure, but it does seem to work. But it is fee-based more than it is anything else.
So it's just engineering issues, like the water, the sewer. Say if the screw worm comes up, right? If the screw worm comes up, then would that be something we would need more engineering and then we would use?
It's possible, but that probably doesn't fit into that category as much as, just to give you an example, I have 2 or 3 different grants that we're working on now. One is replacing the beacon at BDI.
Right.
So we put a tower in, we have to pull power to it. There's a windsock, the same thing, that's pulling power out between the runways to electrify that windsock so it can be seen at night. Right, and we've got runways coming up here in the next year and a half. So again, that's what they do with us.
Okay.
So we just acquired a property out and literally borders the Wilcox Airport. Have you been brought in on that?
I guess I'm aware of it.
Okay, so might take a look at doing something with that someday. Now that it's right next to the airport, maybe we can offer one of these companies to build a hangar or something out there. I know the racetrack guys are out there too. Right. Something with those guys. Now that we have that property right adjacent there, might be some small economic development opportunity, but I mean, I think that process is finalized. I haven't, I know Laura was working on it. It was a quitclaim deed transfer.
Right. Now, somebody was donating it.
Right, donating it to the county, right? So,
Nice.
so we'll look at that. But I'm good. I got, thank you so much.
Sure.
You didn't have any, did you?
No, sir.
All right. All right. So the question before the board is to approve contract 2515-AIR-01, which with HW Lochner. All those in favor say aye.
Just,
Aye.
just for clarity, 26 dash blah, blah, blah.
26-15-AIR-01. Right? Did I?
Yes, sir.
Did I misspeak?
You said 25, but that's okay.
Oh, thank you.
No, that's fine.
I want to make sure we're
I would have
right.
just said item 15.
All right.
you know.
All right. All right. So with that, effective July 28, 2026, all those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Okay. We're approved 3-0. All right. Might as well hang out there.
Sure.
All right. Can I get a motion to move agenda item number 16, please?
Yes, sir. Chairman, I move that we approve contract 26-16-AIR-01 with HW Lochner, Inc. for on-call airport planning services at Bisbee Douglas International Airport and Cochise County Airport in Wilcox, effective July 28th, 2026, for a term of 5 years.
Second.
Okay, this is very similar to the first one. The first one was on engineering. This one is in planning. Once we have the engineering done and we start moving it into a phase of construction.
Is there a reason you have to do separate contracts? You can't do them all
No,
under one?
That's a good question. I don't have an answer for that.
All right. Well,
Just because that's
they're
part of
on the
that,
same date. They're on the same period of performance. They're on the same.
part of that, the way the task orders come through, they break the costs out separately. So I think that's the reason we
Okay.
do that.
I was just throw them all on just one contract and have different.
We do have our procurement department head with us.
Well, I'm just saying, just to make it's easier to manage one contract than two. So that's all. All right. So any other questions? None. The motion before the board is to approve contract 26-16-AIR-01 with HW Lochner, effective July 28th, 2026. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries 3-0.
Cool.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Darrell. Appreciate it. All right. Can I get a motion to move agenda item number 17, please?
Mr. Chair, I move we approve Southeastern Workforce Development Board and Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, WIOA One Stop Partners Memorandum for Understanding MOU, effective July 1st, 2026 through June 30th, 2029.
Second.
All right. We'll go to Ms. Simmons for an explanation.
Good afternoon, Chairman Antonori, Supervisor Crosby, Supervisor Gomez. I am Vicki Simmons. I'm the Deputy Director for Arizona at Work, Southeastern Arizona. Today, I am requesting your approval of the Memorandum of Understanding between the Southeastern Arizona Workforce Development Board and our one-stop partners for the period July 1, 2026 through June 30th of 2029. The Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act requires each local workforce development board in agreement with the chief elected official to develop and execute an MOU with its required one-stop partners. This agreement establishes the framework for the operation, management, and delivery of workforce services through our job centers, which are located in Sierra Vista, Douglas, Safford, and Clifton. The parties to the agreement are the Southeastern Arizona Workforce Development Board, our chief elected official, our one-stop operator, and our required workforce partners, which include adult education, Wagner Pizer Employment Services, vocational rehabilitation, the Veterans Employment and Training Programs. This MOU outlines the roles and responsibilities of each partner, including how services are coordinated and delivered throughout our workforce system. It also identifies the priority populations we serve, including veterans and their eligible spouses, recipients of public assistance, and other low-income individuals. In addition, the agreement describes how our business services representatives collaborate with employers throughout Cochise, Graham, and Greenlee counties to address workforce needs and support economic growth. This MOU reflects the continued commitment of all partners to provide a seamless, coordinated, and customer-focused workforce services across our local area. This concludes my presentation on the MOU. I'd be happy to answer any questions or hear any comments you may have.
Any questions?
No.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Could you describe the veterans outreach portion of your program?
Veterans have priority in our in our system. So if a veteran comes in with just a citizen that has not served in the military previously, the veteran will receive services first.
I see. And do you have any statistics saying how many veterans that you have interacted with?
I believe for our year ended June 30th of 2026, the total was about 1,800 that came into our system. That doesn't include, that includes the veterans that we retrained or upskilled.
I see. So that includes Graham County and Cochise County, or a bigger area?
Just Cochise, Graham, and Greenlee counties.
Okay.
And our large population of veterans that we see are in Cochise County.
Thank you very much, Ms. Simmons.
You're welcome.
So, Ms. Simmons, there's I don't know if you're aware, but you may be. President of the United States and Secretary of Transportation Duffy has started a new program for truck drivers, for veteran truck drivers, called Freedom Haulers, where they get free CDL training that's paid for by the federal government, pays for their CDL training. It's to replace the potentially 18,000 illegal alien truck drivers that were taken off from having illegal commercial driver's licenses, and they're trying to get veterans to become truck drivers to fill that gap now, because all these guys got taken off the road. Have you heard of this? It just came out.
No,
Yeah.
no, sir, I haven't.
But it's free training for any veteran,
Right.
any veteran to get a CDL. The federal government will pay for it and set them up with a company even. They even have the jobs lined up for them to go straight into work.
Right. There's a lot of opportunity in that CDL program. In fact, we are sending 4 City of Douglas employees to the Cochise College for CDL truck driving. And we're funding that training at $5,500 per
Yeah,
participant.
If the
So-
Trump administration is going to pay for that for any veteran.
So it may be coming through the workforce development
Yeah,
system.
it sounds like a good opportunity to put safer drivers at least on the highways.
Yeah, and there's criteria that we have to follow before we can enter them into CDL training, such as they're able to speak English proficiently
right.
and read road signs. So those are some of the tests that we do.
That's why there's 18,000 less of them on the road
Yes.
now. Yeah.
Yes, and there is definitely a shortage in that workforce
Yeah,
area.
it's just I saw the tweet on it, or not tweet, the X post or whatever it is now on it, that their Duffy's pushing it, trying to get more veterans to drive trucks. So thank you for what you do. And hopefully we can get some more guys driving trucks.
Yes.
All right. Any other questions? All right. So the motion before the board is to approve the Southeast Arizona Workforce Development Board and Working Innovation Opportunity Act, MOU, effective July 1st, 2026 through June 30th, 29. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we got one more.
Yes.
All right. Can I get a motion to move agenda item 18, please?
Mr. Chair, I move we approve the Southeastern Arizona Workforce Development's Infrastructure Funding Agreement, IFA, effective July 1st, 2026 through June 30th, 2029.
Second.
All right. Explanation or discussion? Go ahead.
Yes, today I am requesting your approval of the Infrastructure Funding Agreement, better known as the IFA, between the Southeastern Arizona Workforce Development Board and our one-stop partners for the period July 1, 2026 through June 30th of 2029. The Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act requires each local workforce development board, in agreement with the chief elected official, to develop the IFA agreement that identifies how the required one-stop partners will share the cost of operating and maintaining the job centers in our local area. The IFA ensures that the infrastructure costs are funded in a fair, transparent, and equitable manner consistent with the federal and state requirements. This IFA will not have any impact on the county's budget. The agreement includes the Southeastern Arizona Workforce Development Board, the chief elected official, our one-stop operator, and our required one-stop partners, which again are adult education, Wagner Pizer Employment Services, vocational rehabilitation, the Veterans Employment and Training Programs. The infrastructure funding agreement identifies the infrastructure costs associated with operating our job centers in Sierra Vista and Douglas only, because we don't have any co-located partners in Safford or Clifton. These costs include items such as rent, utilities, equipment, and other shared operational costs necessary to support the delivery of workforce services. The agreement also outlines each partner's proportionate share of the infrastructure costs based on each partner's relative benefit from our one-stop delivery system, ensuring that contributions are consistent with the WIOA regulations and guidance. Approval of this infrastructure funding agreement demonstrates the continued commitment of our workforce partners to collaboratively support and sustain our workforce delivery system that provides high-quality services to job seekers, businesses, and community throughout Cochise, Graham, and Greenlee counties. Once approved, it will be a cost savings for us in the amount of approximately $81,000, which we can expend on upskilling or training other job seekers or doing incumbent worker job training with businesses. So in Sierra Vista, our partners are paying a portion of our rent and a portion of our receptionist cost. And also in Douglas, where they're paying a portion of the rent and a portion of the receptionist in that area. So that concludes my presentation. Any questions or comments?
Any questions for Ms. Simmons?
No, sir.
None? All right, thank you.
Thank
The motion before the board is to approve the Southeast Arizona Workforce Development Infrastructure Funding Agreement effective July 1st. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank you.
And with that, we come to the state and federal legislation agenda item, which nothing to report. All is quiet right now for the most part. The NDAA is going through, which may affect Fort Huachuca, but we have not seen anything in there yet to affect Fort Huachuca, but we will let you guys know if we see something pop up. But that's all I got. Anything, no?
I'll just let the board know I am continuing to work on your legislative proposals for the CSA Summit, so they'll be coming in an email to you for your individual review.
Okay.
Do you have any update on the shelter?
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry.
We'll go to Ms. Gilman next.
Oh, yeah. I'm
On
sorry.
that. She's,
Thought we were there.
yeah, there's nothing on the federal stuff. So, nothing on the federal. So then now we will go to the report from the county administrator.
Yes, so Supervisor Gomez, Mr. Chair, what you asked about was the animal shelter, any update on that? And we are extending escrow to 30 additional days, so we'll close August 31st. That's to give the county and the seller time to clear up some concerns that were raised by our survey that was done. So we just want to make sure we are free and clear before we sign the selling documents. The other thing, since we've been talking about jobs a bit today, I wanted to raise the board's awareness that we do have 21 job opportunities on our Cochise County website for employment opportunities with the county. That's part-time, full-time, everything from the assessor to the courts to legal offices to facilities, public works, public fiduciary. So just a wide variety of opportunities available at Cochise County for anyone interested, and amazing benefits.
How many of them require previous experience?
Oh, I would say maybe half, just because of the number of attorney positions are more professional and credentialed.
And then
but
the other half are
more
available
entry level
for training?
for
They'll-
clerk.
They'll be trained by our guys to do the job?
Yep.
Okay,
say that's
so
fair.
anybody pretty much can apply for those then.
Yeah, and part-time and full-time.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you for that. All right. And with that, any last comments before we close here?
No, thanks to everyone, all of our staff and people who are out there being patient with our meetings. But I think this is a good thing we do, that we are as open and transparent, even though some people think we aren't. We are, and how we discuss everything in the open.
Sometimes to our detriment.
Yes.
All right. So with that, the next meeting will be a work session today here in this hearing room at 2:00 to get an update on the jail project. So with that, we'll see you guys at 2:00. We are adjourned.